Welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. This is the Debrief, where we take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the game from yesterday. Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 0. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, drop this video a like, and get involved in the comment section down below. So, I think first things first, I think we've got to have a little look at where we are in the table, what's gone on across this weekend then. So, we have seen Brighton absolutely demolish Wolves, absolutely demolish them. That should set up a tasty game on Saturday for Aston Villa against Wolves at the Molineux. We've saw Liverpool beat Spurs 4-3 in the very last minute. 2 goals in injury times. That is a huge result for Aston Villa in the European picture, and it means that we are still on the same points as Spurs, so all still to play for. Villa's last 4 games, it does feel like the game against Wolves, we have to win, really. We've got to go there in confidence and just go for it and come away with those 3 points, because then it sets us up with Spurs, Liverpool and Brighton, the shootout for Europe, which is just going to be absolutely mad. So I'm still confident that Aston Villa are going to get Europe. We're still in the European places now. I keep hearing about Brighton have got this, Brighton have got that. And yes, they're a very good team, but we can still finish above Spurs. So I think that's where I'm at. That's where my mindset definitely is. And, you know, I'm not a football fan that will just think just because we've lost a game of football that it's just all over and we're absolutely going to capitulate now and then we're just going to be happy to finish 8th. I think time to reflect on the season, sort of how good it is and what we've done, and safe 8th is where we finish. We can reflect on finishing 8th at the end of the season, but we are in the here and now, and this group of players can still achieve Europe. And I think every Villa fan should be shouting to the rafters for this football club to get into Europe, because what it can do to the players, what it can do to the club, and what it can do for the fan base, and it's just absolutely huge, and for future players. So I'm not giving up just because we've lost 1 game. We've been on a fantastic run of 10 games, and we've still got 4 finals to go for us to achieve Europe. It is still in our hands. I think if we can beat Spurs, we can beat Brighton on the last day, we can pick up points here, there and everywhere, we can get bodies back, then I think we can do it still. So I'm still pretty positive, pretty upbeat about it. Yes, it was a disappointing performance, disappointing result, but it's football and we lose games, and we're off the back of a 10-game streak. So if it can give us a chance now to reset, regroup, maybe give some of the players a bit of a kick, I think would be quite good. I mean, we've got 4 games to go, so we've got to have maximum effort going into the final 4 games. Hopefully we can have a couple of bodies back, a Cash or a Kamara or a Bailey, and that will be such welcome additions back to the squad for the last 4 games. So let's have a little look then at the tale of Aston Villa against Manchester United, and what we saw from that game as well then. So interestingly, we had low possession, which we haven't had for quite a while. We had 43% possession. Manchester United had 57%. They had 14 shots. We had 7. We had 1 on target and they had 6. We had 4 corners and they were offside 7 times and we were offside 3 times. We played 369 passes, 78% passing accuracy. They had 512 passes, and they had 85% passing accuracy. We made 15 tackles, they made 14, and they made 12 interceptions, which is very, very high. I think that's part of the problem with our midfield battle, the turnovers in midfield. We made 2. The match dominance by expected threat, you can see Manchester United are in the red, Aston Villa are in the blue. You can see we were trying to finish the game quite strong. And then the shots by XG by the minute, pretty high, 102 for United, and we are 0.37. The XG shot map. So, we did get a decent amount of shots off, but United were peppering our goal. The numbers are upside down, but I think this is a better graphic of what you can see, really. And I think it was a little bit different than what we expected from Manchester United, because they played more with a three in central midfield. We thought they were going to go with Casemiro and Eriksen, but they also played Sabitzer in there as well, which gave them a little bit more dominance in central midfield. Then it allowed them to have flair players through here. You've got Sancho, you've got Fernandes, and then you've got Rashford leading the line through there. But I think by Ten Hag putting that extra central midfielder in there, it really stifled Villa and stopped Villa from getting those in those pockets and sort of expressing ourselves a little bit more. And it really stopped Aston Villa from dominating that midfield battle as well. So I think Ten Hag put that player in there to sort of counteract everything that Villa were going to do in this game. And to be fair, that tactic worked a treat for them, to be fair. So if we have a look at Manchester United's passing network, what you can see is everything really went through Casemiro. Casemiro is the linchpin in this side. Eriksen as well. And then you can see the width from Sancho, Rashford through the top, and then Bruno Fernandes as well. And I think that sort of triangle between Eriksen, Casemiro and Sabitzer really won that midfield battle. And Villa just really, really struggled to get a grip on central midfield. We saw phases where we were quite good, but it just wasn't enough. You can also see that Casemiro ball over the top to Rashford was a real big passing network as well. So if we have a look at Aston Villa's average positions, I think the back four is pretty standard. It's what we normally see. But you can see with Dougie Luiz here, there's a bit of a gap between Luiz and Dendoncker in this game, which I think was a bit of a problem as well. You've got Ramsey, who is helping out with Moreno. You've got John McGinn, who's a little bit further forward. So really, this area here, there's not many bodies in there. And I felt like if they could have been a little bit tighter against Manchester United and a little bit more compact, we might have been able to pick up those loose balls in central midfield. It just felt to me like everybody was just a little bit too far away from each other. The amount of times I saw Ramsey with the ball and sort of aimlessly running blind down a corridor and sort of turning and looking like this, thinking, I've got no one to pass to. And I think that really was because everybody was quite far apart from each other. And I'd like just to have been a little bit more compact, really. So we could have been a little bit more organised. If we have a look at Aston Villa's passing network, I think this really does highlight what I'm trying to say, is that we've got sort of three players here. We've also got three players on there. So you sort of got three players either on each side. And really, we just left with Dendoncker on his own and Dougie Luiz. And we saw from the average positions that the gaps were quite far apart from each other. And really, if you're thinking that Fernandes and Rashford and Sancho were getting in these areas, it just felt like United were able to play in like stages, and our stages were quite far apart from where we really wanted to be. And I just think if you look at that, especially if we've got more bodies in here, maybe if Ramsey was there, you've got McGinn there, maybe, I think we'd have had a little bit more joy. So, the width on the passing network's okay, but I just really do think that midfield is where we lost this battle, to be fair. And if it was a little bit more tighter, then maybe we could have got a little bit more joy in this game. So I think that the passing network, the width of it was decent, but in that middle, it needs to be a little bit tighter. And I think we could have maybe have done a little bit more damage. But it just felt like, especially in that first half, that we just lost our way a little bit. We weren't really at it. I think some of the other things that I want to maybe just touch upon as well is two players that I've highlighted in the player ratings and on the my match reaction is that Ramsey and Buendia, I think they really did struggle in this game, and it's important that we start seeing the best out of them. So if we have a look at Buendia, he had let's have a look at his touches. So Buendia had 40 touches and he had a passing accuracy of 56%. So just over half of his passes were going to an Aston Villa player. All the other passes were going to the opposition. I think that was a big problem. He lost possession 18 times, which, you know, it's quite a lot. Ramsey, he had a passing accuracy of 79%. Let's have a look what Dougie Luiz was. So Luiz had an 81% passing accuracy. Then Donker had an 83. Watkins had a 56% passing accuracy as well. So I think that's, again, the passing accuracy, passing to Aston Villa players was a bit of a problem in this game as well. And yeah, I just think we struggled to get any rhythm in the game as well. So I think we've got to be better in the last 4 games. We've got to get back to being a little bit more explosive. The ball's got to stick further forward as well. The ball's got to stick with Watkins. It's got to stick with Buendia. And we've just got to be a little bit more compact and a bit more organised. So I think, especially for me, when I'm looking at excuses, I'm not about excuses. I don't want to just come on here and say, well, we've got injuries, we've got a thin squad. We've got to just deal with it. We've got to deal with it, and we've got to just try and achieve our ambition. And that's exactly how Emery will be looking at it. It's exactly how the players will be looking at it. So we still need a big, big push now in these final 4 games. So, you know, I thought at the end of the game, we huffed, we puffed, we could have grabbed something. And I think I just want to finish on a point that Emery said, that he's coming to Aston Villa to try and close that gap between Aston Villa and Manchester United. And I do think, although we lost 1-0, you can see signs of us being able to sort of stick in games, and I think that was a positive from the United game, that we weren't really at our best. We were still able to stick in there. At the end, we could have grabbed it off a free kick or a corner. We were still pushing, and I think that's a testament to where we are and the mentality of the squad, that they still want to fight, they still want to stick in there. But I just think we've just got to get the playing side right in these final 4 games. So, you know, 1-0 the day after, it was okay, but we've still got a big 4 games to go. So there we go. So we'll be back now on Wednesday. I'm moving house on Tuesday. So the next time you see me will be in my new house. So you'll see me on Wednesday. So thanks everybody for the support. No more plain backdrop anymore. So we'll have a brand new look and feel to the podcast, which I'm excited to share with you. So thanks everybody, and up the Villa.